Jaden is our next speaker, and he is here in the house.
All right, let's just move into that. I'll do some more tomorrow if we have some time.
Great.
Awesome.
Or tonight.
Or tonight, yeah.
After the panel.
All
Okay.
right, I'm bringing Jaden on right now.
Great.
Great. So I'll go ahead and start introducing Jaden, because Jaden is one of those fearless explorers who enjoys going where others dare not look. He learned that for many, their power, their magic was being deliberately hidden from them by energies that are afraid of humans awakening and becoming conscious. And he's determined to change that. Jaden is an international presenter, a facilitator of tools for awakening consciousness. He uses his wit, humor, and authentic expression to awaken and inspire other wayshowers to untangle limited and to connect their inner clarity so that they can step into whatever they came here to be and to do now. He reconnects people to their bodies, their potency, their playful magic, while taking audiences beyond this matrix illusion and into the true magnitude beyond this universe. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Woohoo!
Thank you. Thank you. Let me get my screen here. Well, thank you. Glad to be here.
Yay. Glad you're here too.
Thank you. So what I'd like to talk about today is, how do you find you? Like, who are you after you've had a walk-in transition? And I want to go through a bit of the things that I've uncovered, dug up, made sense of over the years working with clients and working with students about the walk-in paradigm, and kind of look at it from a different viewpoint. And I want to do that by looking at this chart here. Is actually like an overview of my body's experience. It's an example of the different transitions that occurred in this physical body. And I want to kind of show you things in a way that you may not have looked at them before, so you can find ways of being more connected to your body, being more connected to your purpose, why you're here, your passions, your interests, your excitements. It's like, how do you find out who you are when you had all the weird stuff from your past, and how do you untangle all that? And that's kind of the gist of where I want to go. The thing that I want to say kind of right off the top is, this is my perception of things. I'm not saying this is the truth. This is my truth. This is what I've come to understand over the last decade or two. And my invitation for you is, anything that you hear that feels light to you and feels useful, like, wow, that's really cool. Like, take that. If anything strikes you as like, just let it go. Like, it's not relevant for you. So here's my chart of me. And when you start talking about walk-in stuff, there's a lot of levels and complications. So I want to look at this from so here for my body here. So born in, so when this body was born, there wasn't a spirit in the body. There was what I call an NPC program identity. So it's kind of like in a video game, it's run by the game itself. So in the beginning, so if you ever look at people who are out and about and they do the same thing every day. They wake up, they do this, they go to work, they come home, they watch television, they go to bed. And they're not interested in growing, they're not interested in learning. They just do the pattern that they do. Quite often, those are being run by program identities. It's not actually a soul or a spirit running the body. It's like a program running the body. And I don't want to get too deep into what that is, but this body started out being run by programs. It didn't have a spirit in the body at the time. And so it was born in with one identity, And then around 3, there was a change of identity. Around 7, there was another change of identity. And then later in teenage years was when the first walk-in occurred. I'm going to call all these walk-ins. To me, a walk-in is a change of identity, and how the identity changes and what is occurring behind the scenes, whatever. We can look more in depth about that. But this was the first time for this body that an infinite being, most people use the word soul, and I don't like it because it's kind of owned by the church. And if you were to go say, I want to connect to my soul, you're connecting to a construct that gods have created, I would argue, for entrapment purposes. So I avoid that languaging, and I use infinite being, a being that was never born, never died, is sourced from outside of this project and has come here to be embodied and explore and play in this really cool world. And so in teenage, the first infinite being came in, the first spirit came in. And then there was what I call a facet swap, which is where the same, people use the word oversoul, like the higher part of the infinite being has, what other people use oversoul, has many different expressions possible. And so you can have a walk-in experience or change of identity that is simply a facet swap. Think of like a diamond with all the facets on it. And what you're doing is the diamond is the oversoul or the infinite being, the fullness of the infinite being, which all doesn't fit here. And we're just changing a facet. And so another identity of the infinite being shows up. And so that's what I had then, early 20s. Then later, there was another infinite being that came in. So this was walk-in 5, and it was a completely different soul family. Again, different terminology. So it's like this, you can see these color bands. Each one of these color bands is a completely different source energy. Like, they're not connected at all in any way, shape, or form. They're completely different infinite beings. They're completely different oversouls. They're not, they might know each other, but they're not connected in any way. So it's like when walk-in 5 occurred, we have yet another change of identity. And how you know when you have a completely different infinite being come in is the change that occurs in your life is dramatic. Like, this is the place where you're changing jobs, you're changing relationships, you're moving to different cities, you're considering changing your name. Like, those are the kind of changes that occur when there's a change of infinite being. When you have like a facet swap, it's just another piece of you. And so it's not as big a deal. It's more subtle. Many people won't even necessarily notice those changes. The changes of infinite beings, oh, you notice those. So walk-in 5, walk-in 6 then had what I call an addition. So you have the however many facets came in for be able to hold more infinite beingness in our body. And so there's more facets that seem to be able to come in and participate. But here's the interesting part is this actually, all this stuff before here wasn't me. The infinite being that is operating this body right now, talking with this body, is the one here in purple. And so Jaden came in February 2011. during this intense lightning storm, and I was present for and aware of this experience. I felt it coming. I had foreknowledge that it was going to occur. I didn't know exactly when, but I had this sense of, okay, there's a walk-in thing occurring, because you do it enough and you get the feel of it. And if you're aware long enough, you just start to see these things. They become more clear, more natural. So here's the part that, so walk-in 7, so it was an exchange. It was a new infinite being. It was this infinite being here. And then I had a swap facet. So one of the facets that was originally came in at walk-in 7 left, and another facet came in, which was disorientating, but not as dramatic. And then walk-in 9, the most recent one, actually was an addition. Another facet came and joined the existing facet that had swapped in 8. And again, all this stuff, detail, like, it's almost not important. What it is important or useful is seeing the flow of this. And here's where I want to kind of anchor things in, is Jaden came in February 2011 as walk-in 7. Everything before walk-in 7 was not this infinite being, was not me. My body was here participating, the physicalness of my body. The being, I have nothing to do with the blue, the green, or the light blue part on this at all. Not mine. And that's the part that I think is harder to wrap your head around, is like, how old are you? How long have you been here? And I found that's actually really useful. So Jaden is 11 years old. Yay! I've only been here for 11 years. This infinite being has been on this planet for 11 years in this body. So it's like the stuff that happened prior to that, not mine, not me. And what do you do with that? What do you do with your past? What do you do with that old information? And I want to show you something that I think most people don't grasp, that puts a bigger pieces of the puzzle together. Is when you first start out, when the born in the body, there's a timeline that's there. So, and this line here represents the timeline. The thick blue line represents the timeline. And as that timeline is progressing, when you have changes within the same infinite being or NPC, it remains in the same timeline. When you have another infinite being come into the body, it's a new timeline. It starts a completely different timeline. So what most people try to do is hold on to their old timeline, when actually it's not even the space in which you occupy anymore. So let's look at my chart here. So here's the blue line at the bottom, and then there's a new infinite being that comes in, and we get the green line. And then there's another infinite being that comes in, and we get the blue line. And then Jaden comes in, and we get the purple line. And the purple line is my timeline that starts February 2011. So what is all that stuff from the past? What is all the memories that body has of childhood? And what is that? And how relevant is that to your life? And what I've learned about this is it's not relevant at all to your life, or it doesn't have to be. And I'd recommend that it is not, that you don't make it relevant, because you can make it relevant. If you go back in your childhood, the memories of childhood that you have stored in your body, and you go back and you look at some of those things, there's a lot of weird shit in there. Like, you're like, where did that come from? And we all have that kind of stuff where like just really bizarre things happen, really odd things happen through other people or in our environment. And all of that weird stuff that occurred in the past is only, it is evidence of something that I want to bring up and I want to add to the conversation that most people don't talk about. Most people, when they're looking at walk-ins, they're like, why can't I understand this? Why is this so hard to even think about? Like, if you ever notice you try to make sense of your past, it's like, oh, like your brain hurts trying to even like put that together. Why is that? Most people think that they're just inept, or they're not good enough, or they're not aware enough, or they're not whatever. And I want to say that there's a whole other piece to this. And I want to just, I'm going to be blunt. I'm not going to be able to go into great detail here, but I want to say that this reality, this whole planet has been hijacked by what I'm going to generically call interference. And if you don't allow yourself to perceive the interference in this reality, nothing here makes sense. This place just seems random and chaotic, and things don't connect, and there's just all this strange stuff, and you think it's you. You think there's something wrong with you that makes it strange and awkward and not able to put the pieces together. And I want to spin that around and say, what if it's not you? What if it's not you that's hiding the truth from yourself? What if it's this interference that I'm talking about? There are energies on this planet that are seeking to prevent people from becoming aware. Why? Because when you become aware, you just change stuff. Like, your capacity with not only awareness, but your connection with the planet, your connection with your infinite being, your connection with the resources, your ability to co-create in this reality, all of those things make you actually very powerful and make you deeply connected, which makes you dangerous. And interference, this energy that's seeking to prevent this planet from waking up and realizing how corrupted it is. And in the last 3-4 years, it's become more obvious, fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it. You look around at this reality, you're like, whoa, what is going on? Like, you can see the corruption in governments and institutions and businesses, and like, it's becoming more and more obvious. The planet as a whole is waking up to, there's something not right going on here. And what's behind that is what I'm calling interference. And so the core problem is that this interference doesn't want you to become aware. They're seeking to hide your truth from you. It's not you who's inept or not aware enough or not clear enough or not whatever. It's this energy of interference that's actively and deliberately seeking to prevent you from becoming aware. If you ever try to sit and put together the truth of your past, you'll notice it's hard to, like, you can't stay on the topic for very long. Your brain just gets kind of pulled somewhere else by some energy that's not you. That's that interference. And I think we originally came here thinking we were just going to slip in and things would be easy and everything would be great. And it'd be like it was in the old days. And it'd be like, woohoo, all right, we come here and we party. And we got here and we're like, oh, what is this? Did I come in the right place? Am I on the right planet? Did somebody drop me in the wrong planet? Right? Like, nobody realized that this place has gotten that corrupted, and it continues to grow. in that corruption. You can see it. And I don't see it as a bad thing. I see that as part of awareness. The corruption is growing and it's becoming so obvious that it's really hard to not see it. There's still people who clearly don't see it. But so how do you know if you have this interference messing about in your life? And I found kind of in general, if you find that you're clear and happy, then you have less interference going on. If you feel lost and struggling and suffering, then you probably have a fair amount of interference going on. And what I want to say is, what if it's not you that's lost and struggling? What if it's interference that's making you lost and generating struggle in your reality? And until you allow yourself to become aware of these non-physical energies that are seeking to alter the realities of aware people, aware of them. And that's kind of where the challenge comes in here. So interference has laid a lot of traps to snag walk-ins. And I'm going to presume that if you're on this program, you're walk-in and you've already kind of come to terms with that on some level, or you're exploring it. And so I want to just be blunt with what I've seen, and I don't have time to go into a lot of detail, and I can actually show you all these things, but just not enough time here. But I'm going to say that what I've realized is that interference has pre-programmed your body's past to make you think that you're inferior. Like you've got these memories in your body of being inferior and this weird childhood and this weird growing up and these weird relationships. And it's like, what if those aren't real? Have you ever questioned that? What if those memories aren't actually your memories? Because you, the infinite being, is the topmost part, and all those other memories down below, not you. It's another infinite being, and the corruption that engages them, and the interference that manipulates those realities. And the more you allow yourself to see that interference, you can look back at your past and go, or the memories of your past, and see where things have been swapped out, things have been altered, things have been changed. And I want you to really consider, what if that's not a hallucination on your part? That perception of those weird circumstances where you're like, man, I know there's something alien going on in there, right? Like you just feel that. You can't prove it. You can't justify it. You don't have memories of being abducted by a craft or whatever, but it's like, you just, at this gut, you're like, there was something weird about that that's not normal, and that's not this reality thing. What is that stuff? I'm going to say that stuff is what I'm going to generically call interference. And that interference will go as far as to pre-program your body's past. So for me, the beginning part of life before 12, I think it was, the light blue at the bottom here was all run by programs that were inserted. It's part of the planet, but it's a corrupted part of the planet. So I'm going to call it the matrix. So it's like, here are these programs that are running this body when I was young, and it's basically the matrix running this body. And why does it choose what it chooses? Why does it insert the experiences that it inserts? When you start to put the big picture together, you start to see that it's deliberately often seeking to disempower and mess with. Like the childhood in this body was 180 degrees from who you see today. Like the childhood, the memories that I have of being dumb, pathetic loser, can't do anything, not strong in anything, can't speak his truth, no emotional awareness, no sensitivity, like all of that stuff, which is almost like the antithesis of me, was programmed into my past. Why? Was it programmed in to prevent me from stepping into the truth of who I am? Maybe, that's my guess. So corrupting previous occupants' realities. So you can have corruption occur with the previous occupant, and that alters things. And then when you come in, that's kind of hanging out in the body, and we'll look more about that. Tricking the incoming walk-in to hold onto the outgoing walk-in. And if you have weird stuff going on in your body and you just can't find you at all, you might have this going on. And again, I'll look at this down below. Inserting NPC identities. If your body has ever hosted NPC identities, it may still have them in there in the background creating noise. So it's like the Matrix has a little agent running around inside your system. If you've ever felt that, you're like, man, there's something changing things in my body. That's interference. And that's what I want you to start becoming more aware of, because the more you let yourself see what doesn't want to be seen, the more you start to make sense of things, and the more clear your truth just becomes more easy. And actively, the interference actively will mess with your thinking. It will deliberately insert thoughts into your head. It will deliberately generate confusion. It will deliberately try to steer you in different directions. And it will also, depending on how the body's been corrupted, can mess with body's emotions. And if you want to go deeper into looking at the interference, which I strongly recommend, I have a free video program at my website. You just type in that address and go to 3Core. There we go. You can find that program. That'll start gently walking you into the seeing the corruption or the interference in your personal reality. And the more that I've made sense of that, the more my life just starts to make sense. So, and here's a note about, sounds like possession. And yeah. So truth, how much do you actually own or possess your body? And how much does someone or something else own or possess your body? And if you have energy on the second one, that's kind of disturbing. And that's typically part of a problem, is that most people don't own their body. There's a lot of other corruption in there that prevents them from owning their body. And that's, again, another topic, or we go deeper into that. But so what do you do to find your truth? Like, how do you wade through all this weird crap? So the first recommendation that I have is mentally let go of your past. It's not yours. It is not yours. Stop trying to make that make sense. Stop trying to make that past coherent in your reality. Now, your brain kind of is programmed to try to do that, but stop it. Like, just don't let yourself go into, yeah, this is probably related to when I was 13 and I had this. That wasn't you. It's not you. So you're making up stories to anchor limitation into your current reality. So if I go back to here, it's like, here you are, or here I am. So I'm looking at the purple up here up top. And it's like, that purple is my timeline. That's me. This timeline doesn't have a history. It doesn't go back to the birth of this body. It's not part of my timeline. But interference wants me to go back and make that timeline my truth. So it's like, why do people, so how much is it you, the authentic infinite being, who's trying to hold on to your past, and how much is it interference that's trying to manipulate you into holding on to your past? And why do they do that? Because there's a lot of weird shit in the past. There's just all this strange ass stuff that happened from other occupants that were in the body. And if you own that stuff, you're now grabbing other people's baggage, other people's twisted, distorted, corrupted stuff, and you're storing it or bringing it into your timeline and claiming and owning it as your truth. You're basically just bringing in more limitation. You're saying, yeah, bring in all the garbage, back up the dump truck, dump all the garbage here, I'll eat it. It'll be great, right? And then we wonder why we can't find who we are. So if you're trying to be the blue here, if you're saying, oh yeah, that's me, and you're trying to own that timeline and add it onto yours, you're taking another infinite being's stuff, their baggage, and the corruption that was messing with them, and you're trying to make that yours. You're taking their limitations and you're adding it into your pile and going, yeah, I can do that. But why would you want to? Why do you? And that's the core interference that I see here, is that people keep trying to own their past that isn't theirs. So find out when you, the only of all this detail, like you don't need to know any of all this stuff. The only thing that I recommend that you find out is, when did you, this infinite being, come into this body? So for me, it was February 2011. And anything prior to that, let it go. Throw it out. Not you, not yours. Doesn't belong in your life. Doesn't belong in your reality. It's just not your stuff. Any relationships from before that, not your stuff. The parents that were involved in this childhood, not your parents. I mean, if you want to hang out with them and it's fun and you like those people and they're nurturing and supportive to you, then go for it. But if your family is not nurturing and supportive, and they're more like a bunch of demons or aliens running around hacking at you at every turn, ditch them. They're not yours. They don't belong to you at all. And you're like, oh, I love these people. They're my family. No, they're not. They're not your family. Let them go. And you'll notice that a lot of the weird, stupid stuff and challenges in your life that bog you down just go away. You're just bringing in other garbage that's not yours. It's like watching the news, right? You watch a news program, which most people have figured out by now. Don't do it. Like, you watch a news program and at the end you're depressed and you're taking on all of the baggage from all of the traumatic things that you saw. And how do you feel? Not so good, right? Same deal. If you're taking on the baggage and trauma from the previous occupants of your body and the previous history of your body that isn't yours, you're just adding baggage. You're just adding limitation needlessly to your life. So let go of any history before you came in. Not you, not yours. Another thing, you can't vouch for the authenticity of the previous infinite being stories. Like, you have these memories in your body. How true are they? Like, they're seen through the eyes of another being who sees things differently than you do. And the manipulation and corruption that was altering their reality and twisting things in their reality. And you don't know what all of those factors are. So you can't authenticate that information. And even if you could, like, it's not yours. So why would you? So yeah. I want to say that the more I work with people, the more obvious it has become to me that our histories have been highly manipulated to interfere with and trap you. straight up. So the more you own that, the more it's just yours to own and chew on, but you don't need to do that. It's not valuable or beneficial to actually do that. So what percent, so check your body. So truth, what percent of the memories you have in your body are completely authentic? Just feel the volume of those. And what percent of the memories you have in your body have been altered or fabricated? My body, the second one is huge. The first one is tiny. I can't say I understand or can explain how all that occurred, but I've learned not to trust that past memory stuff. Weird stuff. No, okay. So number 2. So the second thing I recommend for finding your truth is focus on finding your new interests, hobbies, and talents, not the ones that the previous occupant had, not the ones that another infinite being had. Your infinite being has a different set of interests than previous ones do. And what I've also learned is that your body also aligns with your interests. So for instance, the previous infinite being, like, favorite thing to do for the previous infinite being was kind of sit on the couch and eat ice cream and eat pizza, like just love that stuff. This infinite being came in and I just naturally prefer to eat healthier. Like the concept of eating pizza is kind of like, where before the previous occupant being would have been like, oh, pizza, yeah. Like your brain goes, well, it's the same body, so it should be the same, right? So what I've learned is that your body aligns with you. When you, the infinite being, comes in, your body's epigenetics or DNA literally reorientate themselves. So for one of the things that blew my mind totally, sometimes you're like, am I making all this up? Like, really, this is just like my overactive imagination doing all this stuff. But when you see hundreds of other people with the same overactive imaginations, the same patterns, you're like, okay, maybe not. Or so like my blood type, the blood type of this body prior to previous occupants, and I can't tell you when it changed. I don't know. I just noticed recently it was different. Was O positive. This body had O positive blood type, had it for years and years and years. Now, after one of these walk-ins, it's A positive. Blew my mind. I'm like, what? Is that possible? Yeah, apparently it is possible. It's kind of rare, but it is possible. And what I want to say is that your body changes to align with you. So this new body doesn't particularly like hanging out on the couch. This body actually likes going to the gym and working out. Like, body loves that. Previous body or previous occupant wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. This body has never liked going to the gym until this infinite being came in. So your body does change to align with your infinite being. And so what are your hobbies? What are your interests? You can't go by the stuff from your past because it's not relevant to you. It's not yours, right? So what can you do to find who you are is start exploring with, like, what are your interests? What are your hobbies? What are your new talents? What do you love to play in? What's exciting and fun for you in your body? And that's going to help you find more of who your body is and who your infinite being is. So the other one is, this is one of the biggest manipulations that I find. If you're a walk-in and you have all kinds of just weird complications and life is just screwy to the max, you might have this going on. And let me show you what, kind of look a little deeper into it. So what most people think is you can have so technically this body has the ability to have multiple identities in the body at the same time, whether it's the actual infinite being and another entity, or you can have many different things in there, previous occupants. What we normally think of as like this picture with the glass of water here is that, oh, it's all just really easy. Like there's the green part of me and there's the yellow part of me and the blue part of me and the red part of me. And I can just lean into one and lean into the other and become the blue part, become the yellow part. And that's what we think it's like. Here's the truth. It's this. And you're like, I have no clue who I am. I have no clue what's going on. I can't make sense of my life because the red and the green and the blue and the yellow, it's all mixed up together. It's like, that's what it's really like, having multiple identities or multiple entities or occupants in your body. It's just this tangled mess of garbage that you can't make sense of. You can't make heads or tails of. So here's some symptoms of, so what this is you can have previous identities in your body. So you walked in and the other identity or the other infinite being or other occupant was supposed to walk out. What interference has done here a lot is tricked the incoming infinite being into holding on to the outgoing and saying, hey, like, I don't know this family, I don't know this job, I don't, like, stick around for a little bit and like teach me how things are going here, and then you can go. Like, we think this would be really cool. But what happens is, having witnessed the transition process for myself and for other people and worked with witness transition teams doing it, is like, there's a door, an energetic door that opens, allows for this transition to occur. One come in, one leave, and then this door closes. And if the previous occupant chooses to stay there, then when that door closes, there's now multiple identities, multiple occupants in the same body. And it's just crazy making. It's just absolutely crazy making. It's this blurry, mucky picture. So here's symptoms. Here's some symptoms of people who have incomplete walk-in transitions. Let me zoom in here. So voices in your head or committee is a common one. It can also be entities in your body. So this whole first column here can also be entities. Doesn't have to be a walk-in in your body. So zoom in again. Difficulty thinking clearly, brain fog. Now there can be a biological component to that, low acetylcholine in your body and some other things. But if you just like can't even think, can't make sense of things, it's another symptom. Not being able to make decisions, choose or create. Like you can't, it's like, it seems impossible to choose like what you're going to have for breakfast. Do I want this? Do I want this? I don't know. Why? Because you got multiple identities that all have different opinions. And you're like, well, which opinion counts? Which one do I listen to? Which is real? That's how you know you have multiple identities in there. General sense of confusion about your life because all the other identities, not having a direction in your life. Like when you've got multiple identities, they all have different directions. Which is yours? Which is true? You don't know. So you can't figure out what's real for you. If your memory is blurry, like you're not sure what's real or imagined, it's this overlay thing where you have a previous occupant that's calling up a certain memory from their viewpoint, from their perspective. And when you look at it, it's not your perspective, it's not your viewpoint. So it's like, it's disorientating. You're like, is that real? It's not real for you, it's real for that other occupant. And again, it's the mind fuck thing. Here we go. So feelings of wanting, so here's hardcore. Like you really know that you have this if you have this going on. Feelings of wanting to die or be done here. This is the strongest indicator that I've seen in clients and students. If you have this feeling and it comes in waves, like it may show up today and maybe a little bit tomorrow, and then it fades out for a couple of days, and then it comes back because the body takes turns making the different occupants up front. So you have these different identities. It takes turns bringing them to the front. One day you have an eager new life, and the next day you're like, I so want out of here. You have multiple identities in your body. If you keep telling your life story with no emotions, if you feel trapped in a void or nothingness, it's a walkout that partially walked out, it's partially in the void, but it's still partially here. So you're anchoring the void in your body, and it's very uncomfortable. Feelings of feeling disconnected from family and friends. Yeah, I'm just going to leave that. It goes deeper. Trying to figure out your life, and depression, life is flat. Like everything is just not interesting. These are all symptoms that I found for people who typically have the walkout didn't walk out. It's still in there, and it's still competing for time and resources. So just a quick note. If you do find that you have that, on my website, I have 2 programs that you can, if you're aware and you know how to clear, you can clear these. It's not brain surgery, but there's a process. We've figured out what tangles things and locks them in, and we can clear it. If you're not quite as aware, you might want to connect with a facilitator who's been trained to do this. It's actually a whole lot easier to have a facilitator. But if you want to do it on your own, you totally can do it. I did it on my own, so anybody else can too. So 4th thing, get to know the spirit of your new body. And I say new body because when you come in, your body changes to align with you. And your body wants to be your best friend and is your greatest supporter. But if it's got other weird stuff going on, your body's struggling. And you can feel if your body's struggling. You're like, something's just not right here. Your body can be corrupted and your being can be corrupted. And typically both are happening in different ways. And so by building a relationship with your body, you get to know what's going on, and you can start supporting your body in finding its truth and helping your body to clear just the weird stuff that doesn't belong to your body either. So number 5, support and educate your body and planet to become more aware. This is for more advanced people who are seeking to become aware. Is the further people go, you start to kind of hit a wall. It's like there's your being aware, there's your body being aware, and then there's the planet that your body is a piece of being aware. The more you expand into the bigness of who you are, the more you're more actively and dynamically co-creating with the planet. And the further I go with people in untangling the more subtle stuff, I start to see that the planet has been manipulated and has been altered in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of ways where the planet doesn't see the illusions that it's gotten stuck in. But you, the infinite being, can see it. So you show your body and you show the planet. It's like, no, that's not real. That's not true. That shouldn't be that way. Body, planet, let's let all that go. Okay. You start to teach your planet and your body how to become more aware, because you could be fully aware, but if your body's toasted and the planet you're with is not aware, then you're limited by your body and you're limited by the planet. So ideally, it's a co-creation between being, body, and planet working together to collectively become more aware. So that's, if you, the infinite being, is struggling with awareness and you're like, man, what am I missing here? Why can't I get this? Why is everything dragging? How much is it you, the infinite being, who is struggling with awareness? How much is it your body that's struggling with awareness? And how much is it the planet that's struggling with awareness? As you get bigger, the planet and your body become more significant. It's teamwork. You need body to be fully online. You need the planet to be fully online and aware, and all three of you working together. And my last thing for how do you find your truth is to optimize your body's health so you can feel good. If your body feels garbagey and you have low energy, your moods and emotions are all over the place, if just life in your body doesn't feel good, then it's really hard to be aware. It's really hard to make sense of anything because you're dealing with this drag that your body has that's kind of holding things back. So the first place that I start with people is vibrant energy levels. You want to get your energy up. Many people have depression and anxiety. It's low energy condition. You want to get those up. The biggest things that I found, and again, big pharma has just hidden a lot of truth about what's going on in simple solutions because they want to make money, is that a lot of problems that I see with people who have low energy is they have low amino acid levels. Their dopamine, serotonin, GABA, acetylcholine neurochemistry, for some reason, the body is not providing the chemicals required for the body to connect the circuits to make it work. It's almost like you've got the energy plug here and you've got the plug, but they're not connected. There's no wires connecting them together. Those are the amino acids that allow that communication and allow those circuits to be activated. So you can have energy, but it's not able to be turned on because the amino acids that bridge that connection and tell the different circuits what to do just isn't there. You don't have enough of it. And so simply taking dopamine, serotonin, GABA, acetylcholine, the body just starts to work the way it's supposed to again. Like, woohoo, yeah. Okay. And if you think that's an issue, or if you're curious, I have a free diagnostic quiz. It's actually what doctors would use, a symptomatic diagnostic, to find out what's going on. And it'll tell you which amino acid you're low on and what amino acid to get. You just go to the health food store and get amino acid, and all of a sudden your body feels better and works better again. Woohoo! Yeah, let's do that. The thing I see with people is hormone levels low or out of balance. If you're female, testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. If you're male, testosterone and estrogen, mostly testosterone, but you have to watch estrogen as well. If you have low testosterone levels or low estrogen or progesterone levels, things just don't work right. If you have weird PMS things going on or just a lot of strange stuff, get this checked, get this changed. There's a lot of negative stuff around hormone replacement therapy or even microdosing hormones just to optimize your balance. And doctors have these weird points of view. It's just really twisted. So do your own research, but like if you have low energy, get that checked. The same with thyroid levels, T3, T4, and the other parts of thyroid, get that checked. For me, just adding amino acids and some testosterone, oh, this is like a new body. Like have the energy and the drive and the motivation, and it's just easy to do life. And I actually have extra energy, which like just never had that. Like it's just mind blowing to even think of like having extra energy. Ooh. So if your body's dragging, get that fixed. Get that balanced. Give your body the support it needs so it can function optimally. Or you don't know, it's hard to know who you are because you got all this drag going on that's holding you back, that's messing with you, that's kind of bringing the whole system down. So that's my overall thing. My mission here is to support and empower aware people to untangle their past, to find and clear interference, to have a profound and loving relationship with your body. This reality has messed with people to not love their body. Like, it's till death do you part, baby. Like, this is your body to love, honor, and cherish. Like, get in a relationship with your body, help your body to feel good, support your body to become more aware. And yeah, I could go on that, but it's one of my passions.
Jaden, would you be open to a few questions?
Totally. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
What do you got?
Well, let's see. People were wanting your email. I've popped up your website. Do you have an email that you can share with people real quickly?
Yeah, I put that somewhere. Yeah, it's here. It's Jaden at jaden-fox.com.
Great. Yeah, a lot of the information you're providing is great for all of us.
Thank you.
So yeah. Okay, if you've got a chat, if you have a question, if you want to just pop it in the chat real quick, we've got a couple minutes. Okay, just looking through. Love your stuff. All right, here we go. Okay, just a minute. So now with all of your various steps that you showed on the chart with all the different infinite beings, is that from your experiences? You've actually had that many entities enter in? Is that?
Oh, I've had way more entities in. There are all kinds of weird entities in, but
let's say infinite beings.
Occupants. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my I spent years digging around trying to make sense of my past, thinking that if I made sense of it, I could find a way to integrate it. And in the end, what I found is, don't integrate it, just throw it out. Don't try to make sense of it. It doesn't. Yeah.
Right. And so let's see. Okay, it says, are you a walk-in, or is your walk-in an infinite being from certain star races or groups?
So to me, all of those different stars, all that kind of stuff is part of this project. It's part of this universe, this altered reality. So there's a lot of things that there are a lot of manipulations here to cause people to attach to, oh, I'm from this star system, or I'm part of this race, or I'm part of that, whatever. And the interference wants people to align and attach to those agendas. To me, I'm an infinite being. I'm from outside of this project. So as I see it, it's like the creator, the prime creator of the original creator of this reality is just another infinite being like all of us. Like we're here co-creating with this infinite being. So it's like that we came from outside of all of this stuff. We're from beyond all of this. So I'm not from any local star. I'm an infinite being.
Okay, great. Does anyone else have another question? Okay, here's somebody that wants to love to connect Jaden. My schooling is exercise philosophy or physiology and athletic training, and I work in biotech research now. So maybe you can drop him a line, shoot him an email.
Yeah, shoot me an email.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Thanks so much. I have an infinite being and an ET, which is hard to handle.
Yep. Get rid of the ETs. I had tons of them. Get rid of the gods, the angels, the ETs, anything that wants to live in your body or manipulate or control you, get rid of it.
Do you want to share with people what your definition of an infinite being is? Because I'm sure everyone has their own.
Yeah.
And could you also explain how you get rid of the lower vibrating beings?
Okay. Getting rid of the lower vibrating beings, I can't talk about in this space that we have. It gets complicated, but there are ways of clearing all of the entities, demonics, creatures, aliens, reptilians, parasitics, beings, doings, gods, all the manipulators, all the exploiters. And that is what they do. They exploit humanity. That's kind of what their purpose is, or what their action is, not their purpose. It's what their action is. Clearing them is a bit more complicated, but again, my free video shows you how to clear those. So I point people to that.
Okay.
As far as an infinite being, it's when I work with people and I connect them to their infinite being, it just feels like this richness and fullness of you. Like to me, it's this large source. There's a lot of manipulations here that say that we're sourced by some god, or we're sourced by some alien race, or we're sourced by blah, 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 whatever. I don't care what they're talking about, but it's like, those are all energies from within this universal construct, all that is space, which is a construct. And to me, when I find my source, it's from outside of all this. There's a pureness, not in a I'm pure, I'm holy, but it's pure me. It's pure essence of me. So my infinite being is that source, that it's kind of like the energy that comes into the avatar of this body. And it isn't this body, and it won't die, and it will continue on. And it's been playing around for millions of years here, or however long, whatever. Like it's that infinite source that's from beyond all of this.
Okay. Someone is, oh, hey, Lonnie. Someone is asking, if there are any studies for blood type changes.
I actually went online, and because I was like, no, this is not, like, I'm going crazy. And it is actually a thing. And was it 1%, 2%, or 3% of the population has a blood type change in their life? Something small. It's not common, but, and again, that's not a big deal. It's just it to me is another piece of evidence about the body actually changes. Like, it's not a subtle thing.
Right, right.
And I think actually the epigenetic switches change. So different parts of your DNA are expressed differently. So your body changes, it like can look different, it can function differently. You may have problems you didn't have, or you may have beneficial capacities that you didn't have before. Things just turn on.
My hair, my eyes changed along with a lot of other characteristics, but I totally agree with that. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, does anybody have any other questions before I turn it back over to Jaden for some final comments? Nope. Okay. So final words of wisdom with us.
Final words of wisdom is find your truth and avoid thinking that you're the problem. What if you are not the problem? What if there are other things that are the problem or the issue, or, and this is what I'm talking about, manipulation. And if it doesn't feel good to you, let it go. If you have something from your past and it doesn't feel good to you, let it go. If it doesn't empower you, if it doesn't make you stronger, if it doesn't feel like it benefits you in any way, throw it out. Not you, not yours. Figure out when you, the most recent infinite being, came into the body, and anything before that, just pitch it, not yours.
Perfect. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here. Now, will you be
You're welcome.
staying and joining the panel?
Yes, I will come back in the panel.
Okay. And where are you located again?
I'm in Thailand.
In Thailand. Okay. So we got quite a time difference going on here.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, Neil.
Yes.
Hi.
Hey, bring on
Oh.
Claire.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do it.
Thanks again, Jaden.
You're welcome.